Hey guys, Cole here with a Golf Cast, episode number 1. So I've been wanting to do this podcast for quite a while actually, and I just never really started. And today when the news broke about Tiger withdrawing from the Arnold Palmer Invitational, I was like, I have some things to say about this, and I just wanted to start it today. So today is episode number 1. So let's get right into it. A couple big stories in golf, that are trending a couple of them in the past couple weeks. Obviously, Tiger that broke today that he's not going to play at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and it's surprising. I'm a Tiger fan. I'm a golf fan. Obviously, I enjoy watching golf more, like most people, when Tiger's there. He is still the needle in golf, I believe. Despite all these young guns coming up, no one seems to move the needle like Tiger. I don't think anybody's capable of being that type of a magnet for the sport as a whole. When Tiger's in contention and Tiger's playing, people, athletes in other sports, they watch, they want to see Tiger win. The legacy, obviously, with every shot that he hits, it seems to grow larger and larger. Every win, obviously, just etches his name as one of the, the best or one of the two best players ever to play the game. That's a whole different conversation, though. I'm going to stay away from that. So let's get into the injury, what this means for the rest of Tiger's season, and what it means for the Masters, more importantly. So Tiger tweeted earlier today. He put out a 2-part tweet. First part says, "Unfortunately, due to a neck strain that I've had for a few weeks, I'm forced to withdraw from the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I've been receiving treatment, but it hasn't improved enough to play. My lower back is fine, and I have no long-term concerns, and I hope to be ready for the Players." He went on to say, "I'd like to send my regards to the Palmer family and the Orlando fans. Its connection to Arnold makes it one of my favorite tournaments, and I'm disappointed to miss it." So Tiger put out a two-tweet chain there, went out at like 2:20 today. Like I said earlier, I'm shocked that he's not going to play. Obviously, he has great history at Bay Hill. He's won there 8 times. I think it's a great, it's a great tournament for his preparation leading up to the Masters and even the Players next week. So it's tough to see him not be participating this week. But if him and his doctors feel like it's the best thing for him, then we just got to have faith that it's the right thing and that this doesn't persist on throughout the rest of the year. Hopefully it's just he's a little sore, just doesn't want to push himself. Gonna take this week off and hopefully be ready for next week and the other tournaments leading up to the Masters. So one of my big questions, is he gonna add a tournament if he doesn't play Bay Hill and he hypothetically plays the Players? Is he gonna add let's see what we got coming up here. Just give me a second. So the Players is next week, March 14th through the 17th. And then we have the Valspar, the 21st through the 24th. The WGC Match Play is the 27th through the 31st. And then the Masters is April 4th through 11th. So hopefully he's good to go for at least next week and play the Players, but there's really no way of knowing that. I would hate to see him withdraw from that tournament too. And then you figure he's got to add. He's gonna at least hopefully play the Match Play, but that's the week right before the Masters, and he typically doesn't play the week right before a major. He a lot of times will take a week off in between. So maybe he'll add Valspar, play there, and then skip a week and go to the Masters. It's all pretty much up in the air at this point. A lot of guys thought he was going to play back-to-back, play Bay Hill, play the Players, 2 weeks off, go to Augusta. That doesn't seem to be the case now. Or maybe he'll play the Players and then take 2 weeks off and go to Augusta. I don't know. Maybe he won't play the Players at all and then he'll go right to Augusta. So obviously this is all speculation, but he needs some reps. He only played three tournaments this year. He had T25 at I think at Riviera, or T25, then T15, and then T10. So I think he would love to get 1 or 2 more in before the Masters, but you don't know. One thought I did have earlier, is he just being smart about this? Could he have played? Maybe, and he just decided not to because he didn't want to push himself at all. Which obviously you could argue is it's a smart decision. Got my Arnold Palmer. Cheers. So maybe the doctor said, Tiger, you could play if you wanted to, but if you want to rest it and be ready, I would not play. And he's probably like, okay, I guess I won't play then. Another thing I was wondering, was it a game time decision? Was he on the fence? You know, was he maybe thinking about playing and then just decided at last minute, oh, I'll be safe and not play? I don't know. He didn't really say. He didn't speculate too much. He didn't say much. He just said he's not playing. He said his back is fine, though, which is nice to hear. I believe Tiger's had some neck injuries before, so this is not super surprising on that front. You know, it's upsetting, but it's not super surprising. He's had other injuries in the past to his neck, I'm pretty sure, back in maybe 2012. I'll look here in a second. Just give me a minute. But, so obviously the Masters, I thought he was a favorite going into the Masters, to be honest with you. Just because he's played very well over the years. Maybe not so recently. Last year he didn't have a great finish at the Masters. I think it was like tied for 40th or something. Pretty much insignificant the whole week. But I think if he's hitting the ball the way he's hitting it now, he could contend there for sure. You know, he can reach all the par 5s, obviously, except for maybe 8, depending on where the tee is. He's driving it relatively straight, and he's driving it far enough. So I think that's, you know, it bodes well for him. And also, he knows those greens. His chipping this year seemed to be pretty good. And he knows how to chip around that place. He knows how to putt around that place. He knows the breaks and the greens. So I thought he was going to have a pretty good chance. Now he's not playing. Or now that he's not playing this week, I don't know where I stand with that anymore. Yeah, let me pull this article up here. There's an article on Golf Channel they put out today at 2:30. 7 minutes after Tiger tweeted. Let's see here. Man, there's so many injuries here. He's withdrawn a lot. It's really only been the past, 10 years that he's really been getting hurt a lot. Yeah, most of this is just knee and back stuff. Thought he had another neck injury, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, I hope this doesn't affect him down. I hope that it doesn't affect him down the road for the rest of the season. I want him to be healthy. I want him to win a major this year. Obviously, I think a lot of people want him to win a major. And, the guy won the U.S. Open on a broken leg. So, clearly playing with pain's not a problem to him. Or at least it didn't used to be. And maybe he's just trying to, longevity is the key now. If he can be around for another 5 years, let's say, in relatively good health, he could maybe rip off another 1 or 2 majors, I think. Get a hot week with the putter, hitting it good. Obviously, Augusta, I think, is the best chance. And then after that, I probably the PGA. Course setup's not like the U.S. Open. It's not as demanding. The British, you're at the will of the draw in the British. He can iron his way around at some British Open courses because he doesn't have to hit driver. But the driver's not really the problem anymore. At least last year it wasn't. Towards the end of the year, at the beginning of this year, the driver's been under control. I don't think he's trying to hit it nearly as hard as he used to. I don't think he's trying to hit it as far. He's like, just get it 280. If he's flying at 280, rolling out to 305, that's all he needs. He doesn't need to carry it 320 like these young kids. There's no point. Arguably the best iron player to ever exist. In my opinion, I think he, by far, is the best iron player ever, better than Jack. Even better than Johnny Miller. I saw a stat earlier, I forget what it was on, but it was something like Tiger gained, over the past 10 years, or since 2008, Tiger's gained more shots than anybody else with his approaches over 100 yards. So that's why he won a lot of tournaments, because he was a good putter, great clutch putter, obviously, but he was from 100 yards and out, he was hitting it closer than anybody else, and sometimes by a long shot. I remember watching Tiger hit 180-yard shots, and it was like an 80-yard shot for other people. It was just like, oh, how close is he going to hit it? I think in 2009 at Firestone, when he was playing against Patty Harrington, it was a par 5. I forgot what hole exactly. It was like 181 yards. He hit like an 8-iron, to like 3 feet, and that was basically the tournament on that hole, because I think Harrington made a bogey or a double on that hole, and that was it. His iron game's spectacular. In the middle of his career there, even though he was winning majors when he was with Haney, and he was winning at a high percentage when he was with Haney, he wasn't driving it that great. He had some good weeks driving it, but he still was kind of erratic off the tee. When he was with Butch, he was on with the driver. I think when Tiger had a steel shafted driver, it was heavier, head wasn't as big, and that was the driver that he more or less grew up with. That type of, steel shafted driver. And then he went to the graphite. It's lighter, obviously. You can swing it faster. It's just a different swing. So I think that Tiger's driving issues were kind of twofold. I think he was always trying to hit it too far. And I think that transitioning from the steel shafted, heavy shaft, different head shape, size, to the graphite shafts, I think it was a transition for him. But Tiger also won a lot of tournaments, not shying away from the driver. So, and now it seems to be kind of a weapon for him. So it's interesting for me, where is he going to go from here? I kind of went off on a tangent there, I'm sorry. Let's get back into it here. So Tiger, injured, not playing the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Hopefully I'll play the Players next week. What I would hate to see him play next week, and then, play around in, WD, because that's just, that's worst case scenario. Because then it's not good, and he's hurt, and then a lot of questions are going to come up that he's not going to want to answer, because if that happens, I'm telling you, it won't be good. So, some other stuff going on. Justin Thomas versus the USGA. There's been some, I don't know if I want to say outrage necessarily, but there's been some backlash against the new rules. In particular, the caddy rule, how he can't line up behind the player. When he's taking his stance, the caddy cannot line up behind the player and make sure that the player is aligned correctly. Okay, I get it. I understand why the player needs to be able to line up himself correctly. It's fair, but there's so much intent involved with this rule. A caddy should be able to stand behind the player and just talk to his player. A lot of times a caddy will come in behind the player, and he'll have, his yardage book out there, and they'll just be picking out a target and, talking about the shot that they want to play. And there's no intent. The player could be up to the ball with a club, just taking, just brushing the grass, taking practice swings, and the caddy could be standing behind. There's nothing saying that the caddy is there to break the rule to help the player align to the shot. The caddy's just there to talk to his player and help him pick out a spot. Whether it's the camera towers they aim at, or somewhere in the stands, or a tree or a cloud or something. That's very common for the caddies to do. Somebody else got hit with the penalty. I forget the guy's name. Justin Thomas came out in defense of this player and says, he came out in defense of the player and also kind of against the USGA, and be like, you guys want to grow the game, and then you're putting these stupid rules out, basically. USGA fired back and was like, hey, Justin, we tried to meet up with you a bunch of times, 5 times, and you canceled all the appointments. Justin Thomas came back and said that wasn't true. So, whole big feud going on here. The new rules of golf, the rules are the rules, right? I got the new rule book here, the 2019, rules of golf. So it has all the new rule changes in it. It's actually, I used to have a pocket-sized one with the old rules. This is a little bit bigger, which I actually like. But, the players, they know the rules. Like, they do it for a profession. They know the rules. They may not like them. The whole thing with Ricky when he took the drop at shoulder and just hit the ball, he wasn't thinking. He just shanked it. He just hit a shank. He wasn't thinking about, oh, I got to drop this from my knee. Was it unfortunate? Yeah, but that's the rules. You know, they have to abide by the rules. I get it. That, you know, anytime you do 20 new rules, or you reduce the number of rules to 20, and all these changes, but you know, even just the terminology is different now, and it's a lot. It's a lot for the tour players, and I think they're so outspoken about it because obviously they're trying to win money. Like, that's their job. And if somebody, you know, let's say somebody that's not on the top, like the JTs, the Spieth, you know, DJ, Koepka, Ricky, all those guys, like, they're well off. Like, they're doing well for themselves. Like, they've made their money. Now they're just playing to win. They're just playing now to win golf tournaments. They want trophies. They want majors. There's a lot of guys on tour though that they're playing to still, you know, have their breakthrough tournament. The guy that just won this week, what's his name? Yeah, Keith Mitchell. It was his first tour win. He's like 26 or 27 years old. So for him, you know, he was grinding, and he played well. The Honda Classic, he won. His life's changed. It's different now for him. But there's still a lot of players that are grinding out there that you don't see on TV week in and week out, but they're out there. You know, there's 144 players in most tournaments. The field's cut in half. Roughly 70 make the cut. You really only see about maybe 20 on TV. Maybe 20 to 25 guys. You see the guys closer to the lead, right? Or if some guy hits a hole-in-one or hits a really nice shot. Other than that, there's say 40 guys out there that you don't see on TV that are out there grinding week to week. They're playing almost every week. They're trying to keep their car. They're trying to get into the FedEx, you know, the playoffs. And those guys, I think, are more affected than these guys at the top. Because to them, a 2-shot penalty, that's like whether they like have enough money to go to the next tournament, or like pay their mortgage, or like send money home to like their wife and their kids. Like, it's a big difference. You know, sometimes in golf, you know, golf fans know this, sometimes one shot could be $100,000 or more than that. You know, the difference between finishing solo second or solo third or tied for those positions changes the amount of money that you win by a lot, and it can be a big deal. So I get why the players are upset. Personally, if I was on tour, I'd be upset too, because